What's going on, Salt Strong Nation? Today I'm going to talk to you guys about my 3 favorite ways to rig and use the Power Prawn. This is an awesome little shrimp jig that we've created here at Salt Strong. It's really fantastic for targeting redfish, speckled trout, and there's a lot of different ways to use it. And today I'm going to be going over the top 3 that you guys can use if you want to have some great success on the water with this very effective lure. Now, the first scenario in rigging that I want to start with is deep water jigging, because this is where I believe the Power Prawn really excels more than any other lure out there, using it on deep rock walls and intercoastal channels or around bridges, if you're jigging jetties, or even when you're offshore. Believe it or not, we took these Power Prawns offshore recently to go after some red snapper and grouper, and it was extremely effective. And what I like to rig this on is a 1/2 ounce jig head for those deep water scenarios, or I'm going to put one of the weedless jig heads that we sell at fishstrong.com on here. And that's going to allow me to jig around structure. It's going to allow that shrimp to pop up. Really heavy jig heads to get down to depths that are in about 6 to 8 or more feet. That's generally where I'm going to start deep water jigging with some of these heavier jig heads. And my retrieve is just going to be 2 really hard pops or 1 really hard pop on those docks or those rocks. And it's going to allow that shrimp to pop up at that structure, get the attention of those predators. And usually as it's settling back down, that's where you're going to get your strikes. I've caught really big redfish doing this. There's a lot of big trout that hang around rocks and docks that you can get onto with these shrimp. So it's a really effective lure. And even if you take this thing offshore, you'd really be surprised with the results that you can get from it. Now, on the flip side of deep water jigging, you've got shallow water grass flat scenarios where you're going to be slowly popping that shrimp in and out of the grass. And my favorite way to rig that is on one of these weighted weedless hooks. This one's an owner twist lock. They do work with the Power Prawns, but I do prefer either the Texas side jig heads or the weighted weedless hooks that we have specifically for the Power Prawns on the Fish Strong store. You guys can pick those up at 20% off if you are a Salt Strong insider, but these work really well, and all you're going to do is just pop that shrimp out of the grass very slowly. And if you've got redfish in the area that are kind of nosing around for crustaceans, you'd be surprised at how well this can work. And again, as you guys saw in the video, trout really love these too. It's a great lure to kind of get up in that column. As we know, trout usually are feeding up, and if you are popping that shrimp vertically, you're going to get a lot of attention from those fish. Now, in terms of weights you're going to want to use for these weedless hooks, I do like the 1/16 for fishing in less than about 1 foot of water. Once I get to 1.5 feet, 2 feet of water, I'm looking at an 1/8 ounce, and then I'm going to move up to a 3/16 for 3 to 4 feet of water. Any deeper than that, I'm going to start looking at some different options, but those are my favorite weights for using these in really shallow water, a lot of times around those tailing redfish, even some shallow water big trout that are out there. So this is a really good option for those shallow water scenarios as well. Now, the third and possibly favorite way I like to use my Power Prawns is on a popping cork. This is a really great option when you're fishing the edges of intercoastal channels for trout. This is a great way to stir up a bite in really dirty water where the fish aren't sure exactly where the bait is. This really loud cork does a great job of getting the attention of fish, and then the action of the Power Prawn is really hard for them to deny. A lot of times you'll see trout popping on the surface. This cork does a great job of simulating that sound, and when those fish go over to check out what's going on, that shrimp's hanging there, really easy to get on a bite, and it's always fun watching that cork go down. One thing I will say is just make sure you put a really heavy jig head on this Power Prawn. A lot of times with other plastics you can get away with lighter jig heads under corks, but you want at least a 1/4 ounce jig head, as this material is a little bit more buoyant, and without the actual weight of the jig head to pull it down, it's not going to reset the cork if you want to get that good pop. So when you engage that lure, make sure you've got a heavy jig head that's going to pull it back down, set the cork back right, and then you'll be able to pop it again, and you'll be able to get on a lot of action with this, not just for trout, as I mentioned, but for redfish as well. So if you guys are looking to pick up any of these Power Prawns, jig heads, weighted hooks, any of the stuff I mentioned in this video, we've got it at fishstrong.com at 20% off for Salt Strong insiders, as well as a ton of other great information that's going to help you become a better inshore angler and start fishing smarter. So if you're new to Salt Strong, just know that we're the best online fishing club in America, because we literally guarantee that you'll be catching more fish in less time while saving money on your tackle. We do this by providing you with premium education, an exclusive online fishing community, and access to group discounts on the best saltwater fishing tackle. To learn more, go to saltstrong.com. We hope to see you in the Insider Club family soon.